harsh language in this performance. It's not used to be offensive, but just for historical accuracy. Hi, my name is Amanda Rooker, and I will be presenting The 9 Who Said Yes We Can, a turning point in integration and education. Racial segregation, the separation of a group of human beings by race. Historically, it has affected every aspect of our lives and our nation. Racial segregation bred racism. It created the hatred of one person by another. Because of racial segregation, racism has influenced wars, slavery, the formation of nations, legal codes, the list goes on and on. The point where most people adopted racial segregation as the right thing, the normal way of living, goes back to June of 1892 in the Plessy versus Ferguson court case. In this case, justices declared that facilities for blacks were constitutional when separate from whites, as long as they were of equal quality. This separate but equal doctrine was quickly extended to cover many areas of public life, including theaters, restaurants, restrooms, and public schools. However, this ruling was false, as facilities for blacks were always inferior to those for whites. Well, until 1954, that is, when the equally important Brown versus Board of Education court case finally struck down this separate but equal doctrine. In this case, justices declared that the separate but equal doctrine had no place in the field of public education. Separate facilities were inherently unequal. Therefore, they claimed that students kept in separate facilities for schooling were deprived of the rights that they were guaranteed in the 14th Amendment. Because of Brown versus Board of Education, states were ordered to integrate their education facilities. In the North, this was not a dilemma, as most had already started to integrate. However, in the South, segregationists were infuriated. They claimed that the federal government had no right to interfere with state powers, so they nullified the law. Meanwhile, in Little Rock, Arkansas, Daisy Bates of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP, coordinated with the Little Rock School Board to allow a group of black students to attend the all-white Central High School. This further enraged the segregationists. They picketed outside the school board building, yelling things like, "Race fixing is communism! Kill the Negro lovers!" These threats scared away most black children from attending Central High School, leaving a final group of just 9 students. These students, who were soon to be known as the Little Rock Nine, were Terrence Roberts, Melba Beals, Jefferson Thomas, Carlotta Walls, Ernest Green, Melba Mothershed, Melba Patillo Beals, and Elizabeth Eggford. I, Elizabeth Eggford of the Little Rock Nine, had heard about the threats and the chaos that might happen on that first day of school, September 4th, 1957. But honestly, I was more worried about the dress I was making for that first day. I had also heard about the National Guard being placed around the school, though I didn't think much of it. I generally assumed that Governor Orville Clovis had put them there to ensure the protection of all the students. When I got to school, I saw many of these National Guard placed around. I approached one who let a number of white students pass. He didn't move. Confused, I tried to squeeze past him, and he raised his rifle. Then the other guards moved in there and raised their rifles. One of them said with revulsion, "This school is off limits to Negro students, and Negro schools are off limits to white students." They stared me down, and I became very frightened. I turned around, and a mob of angry whites moved in on me. I began to walk toward a bench at a bus stop that I felt would provide some protection. The white mob swam around me, screaming, "Kill her! Drag her to that tree and lynch her! Filthy nigger." Finally, a nice white woman graced the porch approached me. She led me to a drugstore and called a taxi to take me home. This nightmarish day has haunted me, and it will continue to my entire life. Dear Diary, a couple of days ago was the first day of school, and just like we have been hearing for weeks, not a Negro student showed up at Central with plans to attend. I'm so glad our governor isn't one of those nigger lovers. No, he's clear-minded and luckily stationed the National Guard around the school to keep those filthy blacks out of our all-white high school. But we had to be sure those Negroes got the message that they were not welcome. So we white students sure put up a fight. I carried my sign shouting, 2468, we will not integrate. Integration is against the Lord's will. It's what the minister's been preaching every week at our church. And when I go home at night, Mom and Daddy ramble on and on at the dinner table on how those Negro children must be put in their place. So I must have done the right thing on that first day of school, yelling at that Negro girl who thought she could just walk right in and attend school with white students like us. Those nine must all be delusional to think that they're going to be able to integrate Central High School. I saw white men on that first day with whips, bricks, and ropes. And they keep coming back to try to attend. Well, may the Lord just bless their souls. Those nine just need to go back to the high school for Negroes and stop causing so much chaos. XOXO, Hazel Bryan. Thank you. Hello. Hi. Hello, I'm President Bill Clinton, and it is an honor to be here today, November 9th, 1999 in the White House, recognizing these 9 brave Americans who have changed our nation for the better. When they got there on that first day, it seemed all of Arkansas was against them. This daunting day filled with mobs of people assaulting them with weapons, smashing their car windows with bricks, smothering them with words of hatred and prejudice and bigotry. This day sparked shock all around the nation. When news of this desegregation crisis reached President Eisenhower, he was appalled by the fact that the state of Arkansas, under Governor Orville Faubus, had tried to stop integration and nullify a federal law. After receiving several letters from the Little Rock mayor, President Eisenhower decided to send in the 101st Airborne Division to assist the Little Rock Nine and show them, the states, that they did not have the power to overturn federal law. This may have been one of the smartest decisions Eisenhower made in his presidency, because if states don't have to follow federal law, what does our American Constitution even mean? However, even though the military was in Little Rock and the crowds had begun to dissipate, things for the Little Rock Nine did not get easier. As they hurried through the hallways from class to class, angry whites were always on their heels, torturing them on a daily basis while teachers turned their backs. And yet, the Little Rock Nine came back to school every day and put up with this hatred, because they knew they were fighting for something bigger than just their own personal education. No, they were fighting for the rights of people all over the globe. This little desegregation crisis in the small town of Little Rock became known as a turning point in integration. It was the first time integration was protested so harshly with so many cruel words and violence. Slowly but surely, people began to realize, and they were no longer blinded by their old thoughts or their past values, but they began to see things and people as who they really are. And all of this was started by just 9 teenagers who had the courage to say, yes, we can, when everyone around them said no. So please, stand and when I call your name to receive your medal. Carlotta Wells-Lanier, thank you so much for this award. Looking back on my experience, I often wonder how I mustered the courage to keep trekking on that awful journey. Was it even worth it? The answer to that is yes. If you remember back to Hazel Bryan, you may recall how imprudent her words seemed. However, she was only living the way she was taught by her parents, her school, her church, her friends, the ideas that constantly surrounded her in life. In today's generation, our schools, churches, family, friends, even music and television are constantly influencing what is acceptable in our lives. The Little Rock Nine event shows us that it is our responsibility to evaluate the views dictated by society. Slowly but surely, our actions have also changed the view of the black race. Today we have blacks and whites learning together, sitting next to each other, even black professors teaching integrated classes. But still, our fight for an equal society isn't over yet. We can and need to solve the discrimination issues of today. We need more dialogue without confrontation from true agents of change at the table. More open-minded people, young people, taking the mantle to change attitudes about others. Strong leadership for social justice. If the youth of society today can understand the impact of the actions taken by me and the rest of my Little Rock Nine colleagues, they may be inspired by what we did and form their own ideas to conquer the enemy of injustice. I hope that one day we will be integrated both in mind and in heart. As a result of our brave actions, not only are all schools in America today interracial, but this generation has learned that they must stand up for equality and fight injustice no matter how ingrained in our society it is. So thank you for giving me this award honoring my part in the turning point in history that the Little Rock Nine stood for. In return, I give to you, the youth of America, both the challenge and the opportunity to continue on the work that the Little Rock Nine started. Thank you.